Hi, I'm Dr. Felice Gersh, and in just 2 minutes, I'm going to start my Instagram Live. I'm going to talk to you about the coronavirus. So just stand by. I am new at doing this in my office. I want you to know this is my very first homemade Instagram Live. So I'm going to hope it's perfect enough. But the information is what it's really all about. I want you to know that I'm actually in one of my exam rooms. I don't have a recording studio in my office. So this is actually one of my rooms that I work with my patients in all the time. I just rearranged it and put a screen behind me. So I know all of you are very concerned. We're going to go over what the coronavirus is. And this is going to be geared specifically towards women because women tend to make the healthcare decisions for the family. And women are different from men. I want to explain what that's all about. So it'll just be a few moments and we'll jump right in. So grab a seat, get a cup of herbal tea, and join me for a discussion on the coronavirus, what it means and what you can do to traverse this challenge that we're all facing and come out whole on the other side, you and your entire family. So I want you to know that I have made many changes in my life, as I'm sure all of you have as well. I canceled multiple trips already, theater tickets, and then after I canceled them, I found out the theaters canceled them as well. And many medical events in terms of conferences are being canceled right and left. It seems like the world is changing and rapidly. Every second that we look around, something has changed. So I'm going to start this Instagram momentarily, and I want you to know that I'm going to do these regularly to update you on all the latest news concerning the coronavirus and other issues involving your health. So I'm going to get started right now. I want to introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. I am Dr. Felice Gersh. I am the medical director at the Integrative Medical Group of Irvine. And as I mentioned, I'm recording this from my office, where in just an hour or so, I'll be seeing my afternoon set of patients. I also want to let you know that as far as some of the changes that I've made in my practice, I am encouraging all of my patients who can manage it, who don't need a hands-on visit, to actually change their appointment to a telemedicine, a remote appointment. And with the technology that we currently have, this is actually quite satisfactory for many, many office visits. So for those of you who are not my patients, why don't you discuss this with your doctor? One of the problems, and I'm also working on this, is that people who are in the health insurance world, and I'm out of that, I'm a cash practice, and do billing for patients, but they are not able to get reimbursement. So that's something that I'm lobbying for as well, so that telemedicine visits are covered by insurance and Medicare, the same as an in-person visit. So jumping in on the coronavirus, this is a novel virus. What does that mean? It means that no one has ever been infected with this virus, no human. And where did it come from? Well, the theory is that bats who carry this particular virus infected a wild animal. This is in Wuhan, China. And they have what are called wet markets, where they actually keep animals, wild animals, in cages and not very, very sanitary conditions. And that some of these animals may be infected. And that's believed how an infectious problem with another form of coronavirus called SARS almost 20 years ago created something of an epidemic, and that was actually a more serious virus even than this current coronavirus that they labeled COVID-19, because it was first found at the very end of 2019. So what happened is that people actually ate an infected animal with this virus in China, and then it infected that person, and it's quite infectious, and therefore it ended up creating this epidemic within Wuhan, China. But we live in a world where people travel everywhere, and so even they could not shut down the entire area. It had already spread. And then, as you know, now Italy and other areas, Iran, Japan, Hong Kong has controlled it. Singapore seems to have controlled it. And we know South Korea has really been involved with trying to mobilize all their forces to deal with this virus. And now here we are in the United States. And not just in the United States, in our very own neighborhoods that this is happening. New Rochelle, New York is on lockdown because there's such an intense problem there in that community with this virus. So if you're the woman in your household, what are you going to do for your family? Well, the first thing is what is called social distancing. As you know, many school districts have closed, and there's plus and minuses to that because now people can't sometimes leave their home to do vital jobs that are needed for our society to keep functioning, even fundamental things like healthcare, police departments, fire departments, all the utilities, they need to keep going so that we could keep going. And a lot of women are single and they don't have any other childcare. So that's why in New York, for example, they have so far kept the schools open. But many other communities around the country have closed down the schools. And that's because children, it turns out, can get infected and they can also develop severe disease. But fortunately, that is uncommon. But the children can be infectious and then give it to their parents and also to their grandparents and so forth. So this is what social distancing is about, to try to keep people from having too much contact with other people. I know we're all social beings. We love to be around other people. But right now we have to use our technology more than we ever have before to stay connected with the people that we care about and love in our lives, to protect them and to protect ourselves. So try to stay home, cocoon in your home as much as possible. Stock up on essentials, food, water if you need it, and of course other just basic things that you need in your house. Keep your family close. Try to go out and connect with other people as little as possible. I know you may be hearing some advice. Well, if you're young, you should go out. But you shouldn't. You should try to stay close to home because even if you're young, it's true, you have a lower risk of having severe disease and dying, but you're around other people. You can't just say, I'm going to just not connect with someone who's older. You could be in an elevator, in a hallway. So please, even if you're young and healthy, by the way, when they say mild disease, their definition of mild disease is that you didn't get hospitalized. So people who are, quote, mild disease, many of them actually have a form of pneumonia and even potentially lung scarring. So much for just mild disease. So we really want to protect every single age group. And it's turning out that in Italy, even 40-year-olds are sometimes ending up in the intensive care unit. So we just have to do everything we can to distance ourselves from people as much as possible. As I mentioned, that's why I'm incorporating telemedicine into my practice. Now, I mentioned that 40-year-old men tend to have more incidence of ending up in the ICU. I didn't say women. So here's something I want you to know. It turns out that men and women have quite different immune systems. It actually starts when you're an embryo. So a female has 2 X chromosomes, and one of those X chromosomes is to be deactivated. Well, it turns out it doesn't get deactivated the minute that conception occurs. In fact, that one extra X chromosome can hang around and still be functioning for even a few weeks. Now, what's on that extra X chromosome that's actually making a difference? A lot of genes that are involved in immune function. So it turns out that even after that X chromosome is deactivated, it's not fully deactivated. About 15% of the genes on that extra X chromosome are still actively functioning, and most of those are involved in immune function. So this is actually really amazing for females. Females actually have more white blood cells. They produce more antibodies. They have a more robust immune system. And this wasn't an accident of nature. Nature never did anything accidentally. We evolved for the purpose of successful reproduction. Now, humans like to decide, I am or I'm not going to have a baby. That's fine. I'm all for that. But genetically, females are programmed for survival so they can have babies. Now, men are important too, of course, but it takes a great deal of energy to work the immune system. It's very energy involved, very complicated. Well, testosterone, it turns out, is actually an immunosuppressant. It actually puts down the immune system. And why is that? Because men need more of their energy to be put into building brawn, big bones and muscle. So women are programmed to be smaller, and they don't have as much muscle or bone. And estrogen, which women have, is also very important for immune health. And estrogen increases the entire immune system functioning. It modulates the inflammatory response, regulates the T regulatory cells. So estrogen is another bonus that women have. So women are genetically programmed for better survival in times of infectious, whether it's sepsis or an infection from the outside like a virus or a bacteria. So women are more prone to survive an infectious problem. As well, they are more able to survive infections because of their estrogen. So genetics plus estrogen equals greater survival for females. But remember, after menopause, women keep their genes, but they do lose their estrogen. So I want to tell you, if you're a menopausal woman, do not stop using your hormones now. This is the time to actually keep on them. And if you're heading into menopause, and you're really not having your cycles any longer, this is a good time to start on hormones, recognizing that estrogen is actually a bonus for maintaining immune health and strength. So what am I getting to next? This is not a time to be lax about your overall health. You need to really focus on staying healthy because your immune system is there to protect you. So even if you get the infection, it's how your body deals with it that's going to matter. And not just for you, of course, but for your entire family, because you may be planning the menus. So what about diet? What should you eat to try to be healthy during this time and feed your family? Lots of vegetables. The polyphenols that are in plants, in fruits and vegetables, help tremendously to maintain immune optimization. You want to eat lots of antioxidants. You want to eat across the colors of the rainbow. Don't just focus on one food that you may have heard of. They're all excellent. Like, don't just eat 10 pomegranates a day. I want you to eat across the colors of the rainbow. There are these polyphenols like quercetin in apples and the carotenoids in the orange vegetables like carrots. All of the vegetables and fruits have their own magical antioxidants and all of their polyphenols to help maintain an optimal immune function. As well, don't forget spices. It turns out that spices like oregano and ginger are really antimicrobial. Basil, all of these wonderful spices and herbs can also enhance your immune function. What else? Don't forget about sleep. Sleep is when your immune system regenerates, your brain regenerates, when your body goes into a healing state. So please make sure you get enough sleep. And what about stress? This is a very stressful time. Don't forget to relax. If you can't learn meditation right now, that's okay. Listen to soft music. You can go out if you have a backyard or when the streets are empty, make sure that you get some sunlight. And if you're in a dark area, buy a light box and get exposed to 10,000 lux every morning. Get some exercise. Even if you have to run up and down stairs in your house or just keep walking around, you can do all kinds of exercise just in your living room. So you can use your own body weight and furniture and walls to stay strong and healthy. You need to do all of these things at this time. Social distancing, making sure that your own body stays optimally healthy, that you keep your family close and near, well fed, plenty of sleep, just all the different things that lifestyle can enhance concerning your immune health. So this is where I'm going to pause for now, but know that this is just the first of my series of Instagram Lives where I'm going to talk about all the different aspects. In my next one, I'm going to talk about what if you're pregnant. So I want to be sure that you'll look at my Instagram and then you'll know when that's coming up. I'm going to tell all women who are trying to conceive or if they're pregnant or if they have a baby and they're nursing, what should they do to deal with this coronavirus issue? So I'm looking forward to seeing you soon, and thank you so much for joining me. I'm now going to open it to questions, and I have with me my physician assistant, Tiffany, who can then go through some of the questions that many of you have asked.
Okay, first question is, what if you mentioned staying on hormones? Someone writes, what if you already have high levels of estrogen?
Okay, so there's only a brief period in a woman's life when she actually makes too much estrogen from her ovaries, and this is very temporary. This is during the perimenopausal years when it's actually like going down in a step. You go jump up and then down, and then up and down and up and down. But that's a very brief period of time. But if you're in that particular time and you're having hot flashes, what I would recommend is doing some of the foods that actually have the beta receptor in them. So you can do flaxseed and some of the legumes and like soybeans and so forth. But if you're having extreme hot flashes, your body is telling you something. You really could use some estrogen. So maybe you have brief spikes, but you probably would need some. But of course, that's something that you'll have to deal with your physician, or if I'm your physician, then please get me involved and we'll talk about getting solutions for you.
Someone else writes, what if they are on antibiotics at this time?
Well, you should always finish your course of antibiotics. That is for sure. Now, if you're on antibiotics, it means that obviously your body is already dealing with some sort of an infection. So you need to take extra care of yourself. Make sure you hydrate really well. Drink lots of ginger tea, cinnamon tea, get extra rest, and work on stress. And just do everything you can to get well so that your body will be in optimal shape should that virus knock on your door.
And then any recommendation for our women with PCOS?
So there's absolutely no data on coronavirus and women with PCOS, but we do know that women with PCOS have a somewhat reduced immune system in terms of T regulatory cells. This is my best estimate, that the risk is very nominally different for women with PCOS just based on PCOS. But we know that people who are diabetic, people who are obese, people who have cardiovascular disease, those people for sure have increased risk. And women with PCOS do have a higher incidence of those types of conditions. So if you have PCOS but everything else seems to be fine in your life, you're taking good care of yourself, you're probably just fine as far as your average risk. But if you have those other medical conditions, then you have placed yourself, unfortunately, through having these conditions into the high risk group.
And then we're getting a couple questions about what supplements that you would recommend patients take to support their immune system.
Well, there are some supplements that can help support immune health. And the reason that these can be very beneficial is that many people are actually deficient in them. Take, for example, vitamin D. When we do studies of people with vitamin D, often we find very low levels. And this has been shown, this is not controversial, that low levels of vitamin D are associated with poor immune function across the board in terms of all types of immune issues. So we want to get your vitamin D level up into a very healthy range. And if you don't know what your vitamin D level is and you're not running to get it tested right now, then it's very safe to take about 2,000 international units every day. Zinc is another very vital mineral that is often very deficient. So zinc can be taken as well. About 30 milligrams a day is usually a very good amount. And selenium as well, another trace mineral that is very important for immune function and often deficient, and that you could take about 200. And don't forget vitamin C. There is actually some research ongoing. I wish we had the results, but it's still ongoing. It got started in China. They're doing research on IV vitamin C for acute cases when people are having serious problems with the coronavirus. But there's plenty of data on using it for the coronavirus that's associated with the common cold, a cousin of the coronavirus that's circulating now. And we know that vitamin C does enhance immune function and is very supportive to the immune system. So it's very safe to take just one. You can, depending on your situation, make sure if you have a history of kidney stones, you clear this with your doctor, but 1 gram a day up to 3 grams a day is usually very safe. So you can never go wrong with taking 1 gram if you're an average person, no history of stones.
Okay, and then that looks like that's
about
it for the questions.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. We'll let you know when the next one is coming. We're going to put these out regularly. I know that you're going to be in your house and looking for things to do. You're not going to see a lot of sports on TV. So hopefully I can both educate you and entertain you. And please feel free to go to my website. It's integrativemgi.com. I put together immune support packages on my store. You can access it. You can see what the ingredients are. You can buy them from me or you can buy them anywhere you want. But I want to protect you. I want everyone to weather this storm and come out whole on the other side. So thank you so much for joining me today.